And all right, welcome back to the Uneducated PT Podcast. We have the handsome Paddy on today. Paddy, I wanted to start off this podcast by, obviously, I want to go into things like addiction, social media, navigating social media, a little bit on weight loss and the dynamics and the struggles of weight gain and weight loss as well. But maybe can we just start off the podcast by giving the listeners a little bit of context in terms of how your background and how you ended up working in the fitness industry and online.
So I always start off any podcast or any introduction by how I introduce myself 5 times a week in rooms for an hour, and I say, "Hello, my name's Paddy, and I'm an addict." So as you said, my name's Paddy. I'm an addict. I'm 29. I got into the background on myself was in the fitness industry. Let's tie this into one. Would have been very, what's the word? Like very loud, very boisterous, very like almost positively obnoxious growing up, but it was all like as many people in Ireland, like it's a mask to
Yeah,
hide the like, deep shame, deep insecurity
yeah,
of my body, my achievements. One thing I always heard in life was in school reports was like he has so much potential. I fucking hate that phrase so much. Oh my God. Um so back when I was like 20, 21, I went to treatment for drug addiction. And that's only really when I saw my full potential and what I could do. In a year, less than a year, I'd lost 40 kilos through some good means or some good dieting means, some also bad dieting means. Was training, got super into training, super into running, um, wanted to help. Felt great, and this is one thing like I'm huge on. Like I didn't feel great because I lost weight. Yeah, it was a benefit of it, like of course, but I felt great because I fucking did something for it that I could never imagine myself doing, and that's one thing I think people like. I'll be happier when I'm skinnier. Type job is one thing I'm huge on, and then COVID hit. Was doing one-to-one. Got into online coaching. Zoomed. I was plastered all over those like fitness mentorships of like Paddy's done online coaching in 2 months and he's gone from 0 to 10K in two
yeah,
months. Yeah, that crack. Of course, at the time I was super proud and I still am super proud, but it's also super fucking toxic as well.
yeah. When you think back on
Um,
it, you don't realize when you're in it, but when you think back on it, you're like,
but that's the thing when you're in it, it's just like for me anyway, I can relate it to it's just a little bump. It's a little bump of just like validation, little bump of dopamine, little bump of serotonin, like
yeah.
so. Um, then yeah, moved to Dublin. Hated Dublin. Moved back to Galway. And when I moved back to Galway, that's when the kind of like this phase of my life, the last phase of my life started and ended around February, March of this year. So,
By the way, I just have to say Galway is far nicer than Dublin. I don't know why you'd want to
ah,
move to Dublin over Galway, but
I,
anyway.
I moved I moved to Dublin strictly because down here it was like, oh, when you do your leaving cert, you have to go to Trinity and then you have to move to South Dublin. So I
Mm.
was like, I didn't do my fucking leaving cert. Sorry, I didn't finish college, but I have a six-figure business like 1 year when everyone else in their third year university, I'm moving to
Yeah,
Dunleary.
yeah,
Yeah, that was literally the mentality I had. Like so,
yeah.
for
You
better
you've
or for
you've
worse.
you've made it when you've moved to Dublin.
When I moved to Honey Park in Dunleary, that's when I made it.
Could you? That makes perfect sense, and we'll go into even the journey of. I really like that point in terms of you felt better due to the process of doing all these great things, and then weight loss actually became a
Yeah,
byproduct of that
yeah.
versus actually weight loss was the thing that was going to be the pinnacle of your happiness and fulfillment. But can you share a little bit more about the journey of addiction? So like, um what did your life look like, and when did you realize that it was a problem and then you had to go into recovery? Because being 21 in recovery is it's very early into your
Yeah.
life, and obviously that takes a lot of probably awareness at that age, and
Yeah.
and or like we'll speak about in terms of rock bottom.
Yeah. So one thing, like just on two things there. When I came into recovery and I came back to Galway from treatment, I was going to rooms where the next youngest person was like 35, 37. You know?
Yeah,
Now I'm going to rooms and there's people who are like I remember St. Paddy's Day, I went to a meeting. There was a 15-year-old girl who rocked up to an AA meeting. Like, so it's getting younger and younger. It's getting a bit more vicious and vicious. It's getting more just like, particularly with the younger generations of just like, I don't know, fitting in. Oh, it's terrible. Anyways, so addiction, right? There's a huge caveat to this that not many people understand. It really bothers me, but it used to really make me angry, and I used to think people were ignorant when they said it, but it's literally just a blissful ignorance. It's like it's through a lack of education.
Yeah.
Addiction isn't a personality trait. You don't have an addictive personality. It's actually classified as a mental illness, addiction. So with most mental illnesses, you're born with them. They just kind of like exacerbate through life, through trauma, through all these things. So when I was young, okay, when I was young, I can look back through my whole life and see like addictive habits were present in my life from as early as the age of like 3 or 4 years old.
Mm.
Okay. Whether they were harmful, destructive or not, they were there. Um, like Lego was one. Like it would like I would spend hours and hours and hours. Like my dad, he's had one memory. He's like, you woke up at like 5 a.m. one morning, just like one Saturday morning, and you didn't move until 11 p.m. This is like a 5-year-old kid, you know? Um, and like through back, I can remember the back pain, like having back pain as a 5-year-old from leaning over and just playing with Lego, like, crazy. So it's a mental illness addiction, and it can be generational. It can be generational. There's like loads of people have opinions on it. Skips generations, this, that. Sometimes it doesn't. So I won't go into like any familial, but it runs in my family. So as I said, when I was younger, I was very confident, very happy, and the first huge problem with food, with the addiction I have, was food. It's the
Mm.
most common one. It's seen as the least destructive. There's people I know who I can fully tell is like this person is an addict, but they will never assume that they're an addict. They'll probably go their whole life without it because their means to let their disease pass through them is something non-destructive as food.
Mm.
Okay, so it's like, but like when the active addict is rife, they're very destructive people. So these people can have cause destruction and havoc their whole life, and it's because they don't know how to deal with emotions, so they eat food. They don't know how to um they are unfamiliar with this feeling. They don't like it, so they will look through means to calm those emotions, feelings, self-talk, beliefs. For me, it was food, and then it quickly turned to like video games. Younger years as a young man in Ireland, masturbation, porn, huge, not huge. You're not allowed to talk about them. Well, you are allowed to talk about them, but like, it's more like it was like that post you put up about the education rife between girls and boys. Like, you can talk about it. People kind of look at you like this, and then a huge majority of people don't give a fuck enough to get involved, but they will say, "Oh, it's terrible," do you know? So that makes these, as an addict anyway, you feel ostracized to a degree. Um, Video games was a huge one. For better, for us, the amount of arguments I had with my parents over like them trying to curb how much time I spent playing video games, which naturally leads to argument, which leads to fights, and these arguments and fights, they lead to deterioration of relationships and this, that, and the other. And there's one thing with an addict is like as soon as you try and take away the high, like everyone's seen movies, everyone's seen like, Breaking Bad. I'm not comparing video games, like lessening time of your video games to like a heroin thing, but like it's recovering from heroin, but it's like we act out, we become the monster per se. Um, I remember sitting in school being like, I'll never smoke, I'll never drink, I'll never do drugs. No, I might drink, I will drink, I will never smoke, I'll never do drugs. And I think, God, I had my first drink. This says it all. Like, I had my first drink at 16 years old. It was actually quite a late bloomer for someone in Ireland,
Yeah.
but it was two naggins.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You made up for it.
Yeah, yeah, I made up for it. And I remember just that first night, and like I'm sitting here on a podcast talking about health and fitness, and I am going to vape on it because that's
Yeah.
just like, I need one thing, like, and I was looking back on that in life and just being like, it was so excessive from the first time. It wasn't like one or two WKD blues, this, that. It was like two naggins of Huzzar,
Yeah.
screaming at the girl I fancy, just like, why the fuck do you fancy my mates and not me? You know?
Oh, that just gives me trauma
Yeah.
being a teenager again.
Yeah. That was awful. Um, and then just like early ages, like school show, it's a week-long show. I'm barricading myself in my room, and sneaking out the window because my parents only wanted me let out one night, whereas I'm like, nope. I had my bed, the whole furniture of the room piled up against the door, and I was sleeping on the floor next to it. I could have just slept on the bed. Um, just things like that. There's that's when addiction, like I couldn't deal with anything else. I couldn't face life, Carl. I
Mm.
could not face life. I would look at, like, how do I say this? How do I explain something to like, okay, when you go out on a Friday night or a Thursday night and you could go out Wednesday night, have 2 or 3 pints, get up for work the next day. Okay. That sentence to me in my head, I get 2 plus 2 is 5.
Yeah, yeah,
It,
it's
it, 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 it doesn't make sense.
yeah,
I don't understand how people do that. I could maybe have 2 or 3, maybe. I would just not be up for work the next day. I'd sit in bed the whole night thinking about who could I text to get up right now so we can use, and who can I go and this, that. And it's just like this massive snowball, and it's affecting more and more people in Ireland. And it's tough. Fast forward a couple of years to uni, arts in Galway, 14-hour a week course. Um, you know, 40 hours a week spent in the pub.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was about to say a lot of time to do extra
Yeah.
activities, basically.
But this is the saddest thing I can remember from my years is in arts NUIG, you can do psychology as an arts degree.
Mm.
If you finish in the top 100 or 150, you can do psychological studies, still an arts degree. If you finish in the top 50, you can move straight to a science degree of psychology. I finished in the top 50, which means like I got my 305-point leaving cert and could go into a 550 course. I turned it down because of the course hours,
Yeah,
which is fucked.
yeah, yeah,
And now I want to go back and study psychology. So like and that's just the mind of it. It's destructive.
yeah.
It's like a self-sabotage
But you
thing.
could like I would imagine you could go to war with yourself thinking of all the things you could have done or should have done in that time.
I I can, and in early recovery you do. I just forgive myself now.
Yeah,
Like I just forgive myself. I can sit there sometimes and be like, "Fuck, you fucked up this, that," but it's like, look, you were sick.
yeah, yeah,
You were sick, man.
yeah.
That's it.
Self
You know.
acceptance is a very difficult but necessary process, I'd imagine.
Step one in the 12 steps says we have come to the realization that we are totally powerless and our lives have become unmanageable over the use of alcohol. Once you accept that, is like it's the toughest thing to accept because it's like your thing. The one thing that makes you confident, that makes you talk to women,
Mhm.
that can get you out of the house, that can make you talk to people on a night out. That's like quiet people use drink just to talk. Like that thing that has helped you, you think. Accepting that your life is now fucked because of it is the toughest thing. And once you do, life gets a lot easier, you know?
Mm. And I would imagine in that time, therapy probably was a big part of this, was it?
So, oh God, I think before I went to treatment, I had seen, I'd say, every specialist in the country
Really?
for anger, for depression, for anxiety. I was on antidepressants at the age of 15, 16. Um, just so many. But then as soon as I went to treatment, I don't think I'd seen a specialist until I started this job. And this job has triggered a lot of old feelings, beliefs, self-beliefs, whether true or not, about myself that would have been totally overcome in like my first 2 years of recovery. So, and this job is inherently super addictive. And we get into that in the social media. I kind of relate into the social media part we talk about, just
Yeah.
like when I was getting 3 mil views, I wasn't sitting there being like, this is great. I've really worked hard for this. I'm like, give me more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give me more. And
Yeah.
that's that like that almost dark. If you've seen those movies where there's like a demon and he's just screaming more, that's honestly like the most accurate way I can represent it. It's not fun. It's pressure. It's fear-based.
Yeah.
Any success I've had in life has come from ambition, but has been fueled by fear and
Yeah.
fueled by, lack of self-worth and this, that, and the other. And now that like I've dealt with those in this next phase of my life, I'm far less achievement orientated
Yeah.
because it's just not being fueled, which is another separate issue I have to tackle
That's
now.
that's such a difficult thing though, isn't it? Because there's always going to be this push and pull between
Yeah,
like the carrot and the stick. It's like I want to do this for a better life, but it's also because I'm not good enough. And
yeah,
like in any domain of any success, whether it is weight loss, whether it is being a content creator, whether it is being a business owner, it's like, well, like, why are you doing this? Are you doing this because you're not enough? Or are you doing this because, you, I don't know, want a better life or enjoy the process or get fulfillment
yeah.
from the day to day? And I think there's always an element of both, isn't there?
Always, always. There always is, and it's almost frustrating as an addict because it goes against the 12 steps, the program we live by, to do things based on fear and thing. Whereas for a civilian, we call you guys civilians, um, it's like it's not as well, I don't know. I don't know. I can't say it's as damaging because I'm not a civilian, but it seems like you guys can just accept that, get on with it, and like still go do the thing. And then once you get the thing, you're super happy. Once we get the thing, it's like, what's next? This has not made me feel. It's like all like, what's one thing? Yeah, like you've had it, I've had it. Clients who lose like 20, 30 kilos,
Yeah,
and it's just like their whole life has changed,
yeah,
but it's not enough.
yeah.
And
Like
it's
I need to
so
lose.
inherently sad.
I just need to lose another kilo, and then I'll be
It's
satisfied.
it's so inherently sad, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
There's one person I know you're good mates. And Blues Potts is unbelievable in that like line of thinking. I look at some of his stuff and I'm like, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. You can not think like that because I think like that, but like be driven by that,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So yeah,
What do you wish people understood more about addiction and recovery?
this one's what addiction and recovery. If you have someone in your life that's 100% struggling with addiction, try and this sounds a bit wishy-washy,
Mm,
but as soon as my family accepted it, it's like it made everything so much easier. It's not actually them that's like doing all of this stuff. It is like a voice in their head that like just completely takes over their actions, their habits, their intuitions, and this, that, and the other. Like I've had someone in my life recently relapse, and like they were doing all the right things, the suggested work, everything, and it was literally just one one lapse of it was just like one lapse of constant, not even concentration, of like on guard against the voice in your head,
yeah,
and it won. And they have so much clean time anyway. They have loads of work still done, put into their mind and their mindset, but so much clean time gone. So, you know, go easy on them. Never fight them. If you want someone to get help and you're like fighting them about it, don't fight them about it. It won't work. The best thing you can do is just pull back completely. Like
yes,
completely like air the messages. I know you sometimes you'll sit there and you'll worry like, are they even safe? Are they alive? I haven't heard from this, that. Just,
yeah.
you know,
I
if they
had
want,
I had a lad called Sean on from America, and he was talking about addiction as well. This was about 30 episodes ago, and he was saying that the best thing that his father ever did for him
Hmm,
was to just throw him out of the house, and
yeah,
not because he didn't love him or anything like that. It's because he wasn't gonna force him to go and get help.
yeah,
And the best thing that he could do by showing him that he loved him was not to, because he kept your man Sean kept saying that I always knew that I had whatever I did, I always knew that I had an out. Like I had my dad to come and fix things, or to get me out of the whatever trouble that I put myself into, and which was helping to basically feed his addiction. And even though it felt like cruelty, it was actually
It was
love.
love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was like the first thing he said was he didn't come out, he kicked him out of the house not because he loved him. He actually kicked him out of the house because he loved him,
Exactly. Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
That's it, like, and the sad reality of that is, and like well, that's what I want people to understand is like you just have to cut them out. The sad reality of it is sometimes people will get help and sometimes won't. And even if like the unmanageable, the unthinkable happens where that person either is no longer with you from the disease, like you did the right thing from
There'll be so much they'd have so much blame on
so
themselves
much
though,
guilt
wouldn't
and
they?
blame.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
yeah,
you did, that's one thing, like the nuns, everyone I was in treatment with, like I had everyone in treatment with recovery, like I have, there's, I won't go, anonymity is the spiritual foundation of what I do, so I won't reveal names, but there's a member who I know or knew, um, and he was in recovery, and so was his son, and his son kept going in and out. And of all people, he understood, and he still had to cut out said person. And sadly, like the unthinkable happened, and he harbors no guilt or shame about it because he knows he did the right thing. But like
a lot of work has to be done to get to that stage, I'd
get to
imagine.
that stage, yeah. But
Yeah,
even yeah, even still, like with all the work, he's still like, your son, killer,
yeah.
killer, like.
That's such a great point though, is like separating the person from the addiction,
Yeah.
which I'd imagine is a really difficult thing. Did it change going through that process and going through then the recovery process? Did it
Mm.
change the dynamics of your relationships? Like, did you end up having to lose friends or cut out different
Yeah.
circles, or and finding new people and new circles, or were
Um,
you able to maintain relationships with people? Obviously, you've able to maintain a relationship with your family.
yeah.
Was there a change in dynamics that you noticed?
So we're highly, highly manipulative people. Like there's oftentimes only through step 10, which is it's step 10 is what we've been doing since the 1960s or the 1960s, 50s. It's now very popular in just like the form of reflection at the end of the day, journaling or just that and the other. Like it's the most spiritual foundation of what we do. Um, so I realized like we're highly manipulative people. I'm so good at making friends. I'm
Hmm.
so good at making friends. I'm also very good at like, someone messaged me on Instagram there recently and they were like, I followed you and I really liked you, and then I really didn't like you, and then I like you again, and then I didn't like you, and then I liked you again, do you know? And I read that and I was like, well, yeah, that's either like, you were seeing me or you were seeing the addicts in thing, and like it's subconsciously there. But yeah, there's one thing I realized is through my active addiction, I was so good at making acquaintances and I was so bad at making friends.
Mm.
Um, and this is when I came out of treatment and I got my phone, no phone for 30 days. Probably the most healing process anyone can do, no phone for 30 days. I would love to do it. Sadly, in the job we do, we just can't. Um, I spent my 22nd birthday in treatment and I had six texts. And I had two from people who were not my friends, who I did not like, and they wished me happy birthday. And I had four asking, was I looking? So six people checked in on me, and four of them are dealers. Now I had my really good friends ring me while I was in there, so I like, I leave that off. But I had two people who I didn't consider that close, wish me happy birthday directly, like through text message. Loads of the Facebook bullshit, but
Yeah.
but I had four people where you looking. So when I came out of treatment, I didn't do the right things. I was still going to pubs. I wasn't drinking. I was still going to like afters because I didn't want my life to change. I was still going to afters and pre-drinks where like boys are doing ketamine right in front of me, and I'm like nine Red Bulls deep. And quickly I realized I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So then once I stopped going to those, I think I had 15 to 20 people that I would talk to daily, and it quickly went down to three. Um, and yeah, I was living at home. I had to move out of the house for reasons due to recovery. Moved in with my older brother. Got a really good relationship with him. Um, got a job. Got promoted in that job. Within 3 months. And then another 6 months, I got promoted to a manager of another cafe that I was in. And then that was in town, so I had to move into actually this house a couple of years ago with my other brother. I was living here for 2 years until COVID, until I moved to Dublin. So like the dynamic with my family was I never wanted to be around them before, and then I just always wanted them as like around me.
Yeah,
Always through that I found that I am a home bird.
yeah,
I love Galway. I love being surrounded by my family. I love talking to them every day, even though they wreck my heads as everyone's family does. But the dynamic changed from just being like they are a means for to get out of trouble
yeah,
to they are the means that I can, give back to them and they can give to me and we can have a harmonious symbiotic relationship of, actions, habits, love and just like social accountability, but also just like leaving all of that aside, it goes down as simple as I want them around me and they want
yeah,
me around them.
yeah, yeah. There
Yeah.
doesn't need to be a transaction.
Oh, no,
It's just I enjoy being
I
in the
want them around me.
presence. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. 'Cause I was asking that question just because I was even talking about this the other day in terms of personal growth and how personal growth can be quite a lonely journey because whether it's you're going on a weight loss journey and you need to maybe dissociate with the people that
Yeah.
don't really have your best don't really support you in the way that they need to, or like there's always there always can be some sort of a little bit of a pullback between the people that you're surrounding yourself with,
Yeah.
and then like it becomes very obvious after years of not being obvious that these people actually might not have my best interest at heart, or they might not I might not be as close to these people as I thought I was, because now I'm kind of staring away from this crowd to something else that I want, and I'm not actually getting the support that I need. And I think that can come in all ways, whether it's recovery, whether
Mhm.
it's having a personal business goal, whether having a personal, body composition goal, whether it's just some sort of self development in your life in some way where, all right, I'm not actually uh, I'm not feeding what this person wants anymore. Now they're dissociating
Mhm.
with me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Like, um, yeah, I mean, the only other people I know that experience this to the degree because I've experienced it is our job.
Mhm.
Like the amount of people I don't talk to from early days of online coaching to now is criminal because I mean, like you might under like there's so much value-based friendships. Just like what can I offer you? What can you offer me? And like some people I thought it was not a value-based friendship and like are now no longer around is like it's shocking. With an addiction, it's like it's a how do I say this? I don't know the word for it, but it was like I'm gonna be my most truest addict self around you because you won't judge me.
Mhm.
And like I can huff, you know, 20 bags in front of you and you can do like seven, eight or nine and neither of us will judge each other. We'll just like be fucking miserable around each other, you know?
Yeah, that is the transaction
That's the
between that.
transaction. That was the value of that friendship, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Those
interesting.
friendships. Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you about this the rock bottom piece that I absolutely loved. I'm just going to quote it a little bit for the listeners as well. So, focusing on the 2% you're not doing stops you appreciating the 98% you are doing. Then that 98% becomes 80, 65, 50, 25 until you lose it all. Rock bottom, a place I've found myself twice in life, and it sucks.
Fuck.
Um, so good to the people who are listening to this, who might feel that they're at rock bottom in their life, who can't see things getting better, who don't see a way out. Is there any advice that you would have for them from your own experiences?
One thing two things. I'm so happy you picked out that quote because that was a quote that said to me just the first part.
Mm.
The rest of it I've just through experience in life. That quote changed my life. Secondly, I've never been quoted like that, and the way you said it made me feel super important. So thank you for that. Look, like anyone feels they're at rock bottom. I was actually at a meeting last night, and there's a thing in addiction and recovery that says true change happens when you're at rock bottom, which you might hear in the PT world of like, you will only experience change when you've suffered enough pain. And I don't know if I fully agree with that statement. I don't think that has to be the case. I think it is a lot of the time. It doesn't have to be. But it is a lot of the time. If you're at rock bottom, fuck, reach out, just tell someone. Like I had the one of the worst days, probably the second worst day of my life in February, and like three people showed up for me, and if they didn't show up, if like God, I'm super big on God at the minute, whatever of my own understanding. I don't know what it's like. I'm not religious and very spiritual. I believe that those people were free at that time and this all that. Like I believe that was meant to be just like reach out. If it's, reach out, challenge yourself. Like I'm about to, I was sick this morning and I'm very forgetful of times. So I'm sick this morning. So I like didn't check my schedule, completely forgot I had this on, even though I booked it yesterday, bit frazzled, made plans with my friend for a coffee at half one. I'm like, fuck, I have a podcast, so I'm telling him I need to cancel with him. He's like, "Don't worry, bro, I'm used to it." I'm like, "Fuck, bro." And then the girl I'm seeing was giving out to me, being like, "You need to get better on reminders and this and that." So like a challenge I have to do it myself is like take accountability for that, and I'm gonna go and apologize to him and like tell her she's right, even though I got a little bit like, "Who are you to tell me like what I'm responsible?" You know? Challenge yourself, like observe your behaviors. I normally go and get a cinnamon bun and a coffee for my breakfast as well as a protein shake. And I was a little not peeved off about those conversations, but I was definitely just like a little tense because like fuck, I've done so much. So instead of that, I got two cinnamon buns. Old behavior kicking in, like,
Yeah.
these are only through like years of failure that I've recognized these, right? So if you're at rock bottom, reach out, like be sorry, but not because like yes, because you want help, but also be sorry because you're fucking sorry.
Mm.
There's one thing I learned in life is that being sorry and making amends are two completely different things. I had to learn that the hard way this year, the really hard way. Um, and if you're at rock bottom, reach out, say it to someone, and it's so frustrating because I know you're huge on this. I'm huge on it, probably not as vocal as you, but huge on it just because, like, and it's I don't even go down to young men anymore. I do say it as young people in Ireland. It's just like the refusal to say how you really feel is shocking,
Mhm.
because if you're a man, you can't say it because you risk it looking sensitive or soft or feminine. As a woman, to say how you really feel, it's like, oh, she's a disaster. She's emotional. She can't hold herself together. This, that, and the other. And it's like,
Yeah,
do you know, boys?
we've been shamed almost to need other people.
Yeah, yeah, big time. And like this is like that. Yeah, shamed to need other people. People are the greatest thing, the greatest gift the world has. Whether they're awful people or good people, the amount of lessons and experience and strength and hope you can get from a good person and a bad person is absolutely insane. People are the greatest gift on the planet. Quickly followed behind, ice cream, pizza, and coffee. But like people are just that's why I'm in the industry, like I'm in the job I am, you're in the job you do. Is because they're so good. Like there's no shame in needing people ever. Like my circles are small, and like I've had to lean on my circle a lot recently. And when you have to lean on people, they will get fictitious and they will be like, dude, like it's been months, fucking sort this out. And I'm like, I know, I'm fucking this, that. And you got to take that on the chin and just be like, it has been months. You got to fucking sort it out. In the past, over the last 7 years, my circle have leaned on me a lot, like, so there's no shame in needing people. My best mate Luke has been probably God in incarnate form for me for the last little while. Just like whenever I needed him, showed up. Whenever I needed help, did it without asking. Just like my dad, man, Jesus, like there's no shame in just like saying how you feel. And I had to have a conversation with my dad that like reduced us both to tears, and like, but. if it didn't happen, nothing would have changed, you know?
Yeah. What i- in terms of, like you said that you hit rock bottom twice in your life, and I think the misconception for people is that like you get out a hole and you start to build momentum again, and then it's, you know, it's an upward trajectory and
Yeah,
life's good and life's got to continue to get good,
yeah,
and then people realize, oh, I got hit with another blow, or you know,
yeah,
something happened, and then like you said, you know, I focused on the 2% that was wrong, and then, you know, more things went wrong and more things went
yeah.
wrong and more things went wrong, and you know, as much as we can spiral upwards in life, we can also spiral downwards
That-
as well.
yeah.
And I think that happens for a lot of people in many domains of their life.
Yeah. So my first, this could be very long and convoluted story, but it's first one is very simple. My rock bottom was, you know, just for like the last couple of months of my using, I was really suffering with sleep paralysis. And there was, I don't know if you've ever experienced it, but the man was standing at the end of my bed. My man had like a big wide brimmed hat, and he had this big, like almost plague doctor nose, and I could only see the tip of his nose. Every night for months, he got closer to my bed, couldn't move. Um, and like the answer to get rid of it was more drugs.
Mm,
Um, wasn't showing up to college. I wasn't using every day. This thing, I was not like, this is my mindset was I'm not going to be one of those people on the side of the street or like drinking every day. Like I'm just gonna like do it with other people. So I would like do use or drink 3, 4 times a week, but I would the other 3 or 4 days I would just sit in my house, curtains drawn, in my boxers, playing video games on first name basis with the Apache pizza driver,
yeah.
right? You know, um, my rock bottom was the last night, not the last night I used, but the last night of me being like, okay, I need help because I used a couple of times after that, but it was never the same. Because I knew I was going to treatment. He was standing at the end of my bed. If I used to close my eyes, you used to see like demonic tiki masks just spinning. And the last night, he he took a step closer and he smiled, and I woke up, never seen him again. Was texting my friend Edwina, who I credit with saving my life. This big long like just drug fueled anxiety thing it was 5 hours of texting. I didn't stop texting for 5 hours. She woke up and was like, I'm gonna get back to this on my break. And I said, don't worry, that's just the drugs talking. Disregard it all. She messaged me straight away and she's like, nope, you're not like your friends. You've a better head on your shoulders. I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. You've a better head on your shoulders. We're gonna get you help. And I went and it was Valentine's Day rag week Galway. I only made it to the Tuesday of that rag week because I started the Thursday before. Uh, Valentine's Day is my dad's birthday. I went out to my mum and dad's house. I looked rough. It was my dad's birthday dinner. They were like, "We'll speak tomorrow." I was like, "Yeah," and I just sat there and I was like, "I have a cocaine problem. I'll never forget it." My dad's like, "Jesus, Paddy, I thought you smoked a little bit of weed." You know, that was that one. Um, then walking into treatment at 21, 9 days before my 22nd birthday, and just think like, how the fuck have you gotten here? Then life spiraled up because I started focusing on the next step, not the 100%. I focused on the next percent.
Mm,
When the second rock bottom is a culmination over 2 years, and I didn't realize it until this year. Um, I was back. I was with my girlfriend of 4 years. Um, we were. I had good friend Barry McGuire, Barry's Bods on Instagram, had told me about a little course called the Social Circle. Um, got into that, was making 5 videos a day from fear because I needed to be successful, did it? I need to be successful. You know, Sean still says to this day, he's like, no one has matched Paddy's level of like output for those 8 weeks. It was just like 35 videos a week is unheard of. I would go to, and this is at addiction. I would go walk to the gym. It was an hour walk, film 5 walk and talks. Go to the gym, film 5 to 10 videos, walk back, 5 to 10 walk and talks. That's 20 videos edited, filmed in in 3 hours,
mm.
and then we'll just edit them and just do that going to bed. Eventually blew up. The big like It was the biggest line of coke I ever got.
Yeah.
Was going from, 5K followers to 10 in a week, and then 10 to 20 overnight, and then 20 to 100 in 2 days, and then 100 to 402.
Yeah.
And then it stopped.
Yeah.
And it was like the worst year and a half come down I have ever had. I sacrificed friendships, relationships. I poured money into like mental performance coaches to help to figure out what was going wrong, to figure out how I could manage this. Like business was still fine. This is the thing. Like I was,
But
you know,
it wasn't about business. It was about you needed the high of continuing to.
but I wanted the high of like 10 grand going into my Stripe account every week.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. Like it went from, and I'll use these numbers because I've no shame in them. It's not bragging. It's me like taking accountability. That 10 became like 8.
Hmm.
Still wasn't enough. And that 8 became like 7.5. And that like 500 quid drop weekly, 2 grand a month, like it destroyed me.
Hmm.
Whereas like now I'm just like doing nowhere near these numbers and I'm perfectly like so much happier.
Yeah.
But like this, those like focusing on that 1% drop made me lose another 10% of just like that, not in cash, but just like input of my life, focusing on that, what I lost, the input of my life, because I would just sit in my couch in Salt Hill where there's an indentation still on the couch of where I used to sit and just like rot watching telly, saying the most horrible shit to myself daily, wouldn't get back to clients, wouldn't do anything. I couldn't film videos because I could not face a video not doing like 100K views and then couldn't face it doing 70. And now my videos are doing like 8. And I'm like, oh man, I'm just like my whole thing about making videos now is not as a fear of like numbers. It's of just like I hate filming now. I hate social media. So I started finding other means to quiet the thoughts. TV, um, pornography came a thing for me again, which led to me ending my relationship. Actually, uh, that's I'm gonna if you don't mind cutting that bit out just because that's another person involved and
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
not open about that. I'll reverse. So it led to me watching TV again just for hours, playing video games, spending so much time on my phone, and these things just drew me into myself. Could not give energy to the relationship, broke up with her. Then I felt free. And
Mm.
then I worked on my crack on community. And I worked and worked. I was putting in 14-hour days again. I was like, I'm fixed. I'm fixed. I just needed something to work on. I just needed to end that relationship. But really, what I found was another out, another escape. The community flopped, went and like I remember sitting in my chair when I saw those numbers come in and I was like, Paddy, what are you doing? Went to Bali, came back from Bali. Uh, that relationship ended on the terms of like, this is a breakup, but it is just a break because we're both going to wait for each other. Rightfully so, this girl decided not to wait for me. I could not comprehend that. And for like 6 months, I went just like fucking basically harassing the poor girl, um, who gave so much time for me and so much patience. This is the difference of saying I'm sorry and make amends. I was sorry to her at the time, but making amends right then I couldn't see it was just like leaving her alone. It's gone. It's done. That chapter of your life is done. Now I understand that through doing the 12 steps again. Rock bottom came for me in February, where I actually saw no positive things in my life anymore. I was living in a house I purchased, wasn't a positive. Um, it felt like a prison. Um, and I just started trying to do the next thing, the next 1% again. So I had everything I wanted in life at the age of 27. I had the 6, 7 figure business, creating another one, two pieces of property, wonderful relationship. But I wasn't doing as great as my friends. And it's not the fact of like, it's like, oh, I wasn't doing as great as my friends. When you boil that down, it was like lack of self-worth based on other people's positions in life. And that self-worth is the biggest thing that drives me towards, addictive behaviors. I don't know how I didn't relapse. I think the whole time, because I didn't go to the rooms for 5 years. I only went back in December last year. it was the only way I didn't, because I was so accepting of step one that like my life will become even more unmanageable and I will be totally powerless if I use or drink again. It was the only step I was good at, step one. Now I'm good at all of them. Um, but that was my rock bottom. And that was February. It's only June now, so like I'm still getting my life back on track.
Mhm.
But anyone who's followed me over the last like year, they're like, Paddy lives vicariously with his emotions through his Instagram stories, and through his Instagram posts. I had so many people message me in the last like 4 weeks being like, you really do seem a lot better. And I'm like, was I that bad? You know?
I have a really important question because there's definitely like a lot of personal trainers and online coaches listening to this podcast as well, and obviously, it sounds like that was always going to end in the way it was going to end in
Yeah,
terms of like it's very very hard for someone to continue that trajectory of going from
yeah,
5k to 10k followers to 20 to 400, like
yeah,
eventually it's going to slow down or stop at some point. And I like people people might not be falling into that trap on that scale where they're obviously they're not going to grow as fast as you, and they might not be at a level of feeling like, okay, they're a failure from not going from
yeah,
400,000 to 800,000, but they might still be in this kind of trap of constantly playing the algorithm and tying their self worth. Okay, I have 5,000 followers, but I need to get to 10,000 followers because if I
yeah.
don't, then I'm not as good at my job as X, Y, and Z that I see online and stuff like that. Like, how can and it's funny because as online coaches or as coaches in general, it's funny, we'll say the advice that we need to hear. So we'll tell a client that, oh no, don't tie your self-worth to the scales, like it's okay that
Mm,
you haven't lost weight this week, but then we'll do the complete thing of like tying our self-worth to, I haven't gained any
yeah,
followers this week, or
yeah.
that video didn't do as well as I thought it would do in terms of engagement and stuff like that. Or like, is there a I'm trying to get this question out the way that I
Yeah.
wanted to, but is there a way of us, you know, in playing the social media game and actually enjoying it, and not playing towards the algorithm and more focusing on creativity and connection for the audience?
Yeah.
Or, can them two things coexist? Can you, like, all right, if I play the algorithm game, more people will see this video and this will help more people because, my intentions for this video is to help people.
Perfect.
Um it's kind of a difficult one because you kind of end up then being like, okay, I need to make sure that this video is seen, so I'm going to do the hook and I'm going to do the call to action and I'm going to
Yeah.
do all these things. And then quickly enough, the video becomes about that rather than I'm going to help someone by sharing this tip that I find
Yes.
valuable.
So it's funny you say that. Like when I made my exercise tutorials, I knew I was helping people. I
Mm,
knew I had a niche that was talking into people's insecurities, their self-talk and this, that, but making it humorous
yeah.
and like giving instructions on a video. But it stopped being about that. And like my thought process was open with self-depreciating line.
Hmm. Which you
Follow,
do very well, by the way,
yeah,
to your detriment,
follow.
probably.
Yeah, to my detriment. Yeah, like one of my like back when analytics were a little bit different, you could see how many follows on. I remember you could see how many follows at a certain point in video. I remember I had one that was like, if you feel the lat pull down in your lats as much as you felt your parents' love and affection as your child, follow for childhood neglect. 55,000 people
Yeah,
followed me from that
yeah,
one thing,
yeah, yeah.
and then it was like talk a little bit about the movement, funny line. Second CTA. I was putting two CTA. I double down. Like I'm not like I'm an addict. I go for fucking
Yeah,
broke, you know?
yeah.
Um, and it stopped becoming about helping people. Is there a way? There is. The only way I've seen it done successfully, really, is through my good old best mate, ride or die for the past couple of years, Sean Casey. Um, there's a huge caveat to this. Sean, by the time Sean had changed his approach to social media, he has a cult following. Like people like, there's some people in the world who think Sean Casey can do no wrong. I can tell you Sean Casey can do a lot of wrong. I love that guy so much. So like if you look at Sean, for example, like Sean's videos now are 3 minutes long
Mhm,
when they used to be max 40 seconds.
mhm.
And like, because he wants to talk about the nuance, he wants to like create that connection with people. Like, if this is you, instead of making a video of like talking about one specific niche, he will then be like, he'll talk about the niche, but he'll go into the nuance. If that's not you, this might be you. And it's 3 minutes, and they're great.
Yeah.
They're like, they're great. They're so good. There definitely is. The only way I can think of is like, and it's not what I want people to do, is like create the following and then to go into nuance and stuff, because
Yeah,
that's
sometimes you have to play the game before you can break the rules.
yes, yeah, absolutely. And I actually, as much as, because I've only seen like maybe Sean or James Smith do it, I would say don't, because like Sean and James Smith are unicorns. You
Yeah.
know, they are unicorns. Um, I don't know how. Like I will, like, I have 420,000 followers and falling, and I get like, on a good day I get like, I think my highest story view day this year was the other week, and it was like 22,000. Most of the time I sit between 1 and 3,000,
Hmm.
and like less than 1% of those, less than 0.01% of those are buying from me. Um, but like the ones I do have now, like I talk to each day, whether they're just a long-term follower or whether they're just like, someone who like took my tools and worked on it themselves, or whether they're former clients or whether they're friends or family, like I just value that so much more. So, I was talking to one of the guys. I put up that story that was like social media is just like shit. It got so much feedback from online coaches, even like successful ones at the minute. I called out the viral recipe reviewer crowd. I didn't even call them out. I just said like, you know, they all look the same, and I get that. That's fine. You're playing the game. One of them replied, and he's like, I actually hate it. He's like, I hate that I have to do this, but I can't not do it because the results are just so outstanding. And I'm like, that gives me goosebumps just even saying that, because I know that pain. Like, it's actually pain. He mightn't feel it yet until that stops working.
Do you think it's gonna just become more and more prevalent of you hearing about kind of people, content creators in general, just burning out?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sadly, I do. The amount of people I know that have experienced burnout in the last year is it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, and like even people I haven't heard of, people I can see, like the amount of content creators that I know that are just like they're so silent on social media now,
Mm.
and they just like point blank refuse to. And I like, who's someone that hasn't, who's someone that used to be really Oisin Mulligan. Like, I haven't chatted with Oisin in ages, but Oisin is like, I know,
Oisin took a month off, no
month
social
off
media.
socials,
Yeah, yeah,
huge. Oisin now, like, he'll post his videos a day. He might do like less than 5 stories a week,
yeah. Mm.
and he probably is just lives a really happy life now.
Yeah.
And like he still posts the same videos because Oshin, I think Oshin's just like, I don't fucking care about growing anymore. He's like, in the beginning, like, and I mean, Oshin were like, he probably would, I won't speak for him, but I feel like he might agree with me now. Like in the beginning, we were so growth orientated. I'm really pulled back from that now. I don't know what like orientation I am, just like helping people. I think I have like even the capacity to help people from burnout is like I could have helped 70 people before I can,
Yeah.
but I push the bounds at like 25 1-to-1 now,
Yeah.
and I'm not sitting there and I don't want to get there for a while. I'm just like, let me get good at like 15 now again,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know?
I'll tell you my experience. So for 5 years I posted every single day, maybe one or two videos, and eventually it was one video that went viral, and I went from like 5,000 followers to like 100,000 followers. And then when I got there, I was like, at the first I was like, oh, this is amazing, I feel so great and stuff like that. And then after a couple of weeks, I was like, oh, this actually everything I worked for over the last 5 years. It's actually not giving me as much fulfillment as I thought it would, or it was very short lived. And then I was like, ah, fuck, this isn't it. This isn't it. I was actually enjoying it more when I was working towards the goal versus
Mm.
when I actually got the goal. And then I was like, oh shit, if I continue to do this, I'm just going to be continuing to like push the goalposts to something, push the goalposts in terms of something that hasn't actually fulfilled me now. So then I was like, all right, well, I'll still use social media, but I don't want to continue to play the game so much that I'm just it's never ending. Or so I was like, I need to try and change how I view success in terms of this landscape. And that's when I was like, oh well, I actually want to dive deeper into the podcast world
Mhm.
and Substack and doing writing and stuff like that, and longer form content, and then getting joy in terms of the process. So like the process is like this valuable conversation, regardless
Yeah,
of the analytics and what it does online, how many people listen to it. It's like I'm getting something out of this
yes,
conversation. Like,
absolutely.
yeah, like, and it's the process that's making me feel good. And it's the same with Substack. It's like for me, trying to gather all my thoughts into like a neatly tied article that makes sense, that
Yeah,
like provides nuance, but
yeah,
also, and I get fulfillment out of that. And I was like,
yeah.
if I keep doing this, then I can continue to get fulfillment. But it's like the Instagram and the TikTok and like shorts and just real fast viral videos. It feels like it becomes a bottomless pit. And I was like, I think if I continue to, and I think that's why Sean's probably 3 minute videos do so well as well. It's because people are probably craving out more nuance and longer
Yeah.
form content as well, rather than just quick gimmicks.
We essentially what we like this conversation, like even when I was blowing up, my favorite conversations were the ones where, and I should have spotted it back then, where like I think I was on a podcast or two podcasts every single day for like
Hmm.
12 weeks. Everybody wanted to talk to me. I
Yeah.
was the fucking, you know, uh this is like this sounds like I'm gloating or this
No,
now.
you were
It's
hot shit at the
yeah,
time, so
yeah,
everyone's like, I want a piece of that because
yeah, because it'll add to meat, and then
yeah.
I knew it was a value thing. Like I remember some person said to me, I said on the podcast, I was like, if you go on to TikTok right now and you put in P, you'll see Pasta Puppies PDK Fitness Pizza. And they did. And they were after the conversation, they were like, I really like had an image of you and what you were going to be like on this talk, but you're actually like you're so down to earth and you're very emotionally intelligent and you're very deep. And I was like, yeah, and that's the rat race because you only show of like short form content. You show you show the stuff that's going to get 100K views. Like this conversation, if we like just did 30-second clips of this whole conversation, none of them would get like max five, four, six, seven. It's people. This conversation itself, like it's crazy that this is the first time I've spoken to you face to face, considering we both like post this. Now I post similar, like the same content I used to post before I went viral,
Mm,
and like this value is like connection.
yeah,
People are craving connection,
yeah,
but the problem is like people are craving connection, but they're so used to the dosage of just like edits and fucking big flashy stuff and this that like Owen McDonald PT like one of my favorite people in the world. He's in over in Ibiza at the minute. I miss him desperately. Like I miss him desperately. He only lives about 2 hours up the road. He's always in Galway. I had a conversation with him, and this is a guy who I coached, helped him set up his one-to-one business. And like he'll say, he's like, you gave me the tools to coach myself to get this insane result. He's now coming to me and he's like, I just don't focus on going viral anymore. I post what I want to post. Like,
yeah, yeah. I
like
don't know
for
how me
me,
and him came across each other's paths, but I've been following him for ages, and I'm really
legend.
looking forward to meeting him in person as well, because
Actually,
he seems like one of them people who very much is assured of himself.
so I've never met so like when I first met him, he wasn't sure of himself.
Okay.
Over the last like he was, but he was very like young,
Hmm.
cool guy. But now he's like just like very settled in himself,
Hmm.
and he's done all that work himself. It's actually like he rang me actually. He rang me when you for a thing, and he's like, "Should I do it?" I started crying. I was like, "There's no way that like you and I are gonna get to do this together, considering like where we came 5 years ago." And he's like, "Fuck, that is sick." And like, there's a guy who's like just he probably doesn't see connection the way we see connection, crave it because we've lacked it. He's just always been connected,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know? And it's like saying that out loud that like for me anyway, that's a sad understanding for myself that like I lost connection and now like can see it. I've recently just like started deep cleaning and now I can see dirt. I never saw it before,
Yeah.
right? But there's someone that's just always been connected and like yeah, people want connection. People want, you'll tune out so many, 90%. I think like less than 1% of my audience sees me now, but I'm just like it's way less pressure, way less stress. I'm happier. I'm not doing anywhere near financially as well as I used to, but like I also kind of don't give a fuck. I mean, I'd love to fly, business all the time again, but like that's a minor, right? But like the fact that I can
But it's like it's the hidden metrics that you don't see. It's like, okay, you might be your social media's blown up, you might be making more money than ever, you might be getting all these views online, but what are the hidden metrics? It's like, okay, do you have peace of mind? Like, do you feel like you're connected to the people around you, to your world? Like, these are all the things that don't get glorified,
yeah,
but end up being the most important thing in the world.
the amount of successful coaches or just like business people I know that work online that do social media as a thing, the amount of them that are now hugely successful people, loads of money,
Hmm.
that are setting up one-to-one separate in-person businesses, whether it's like one-to-one coaching or whether it's just something completely different,
Yeah,
that will operate at a loss.
yeah,
They know it's going to operate at a loss. That'll be subsidized by their other businesses just to have connection. Does that not say like I'm willing to operate at a financial
yeah,
loss, have human connection?
yeah.
That says it all,
That's
you know?
that's literally what I did. I had an online business. I had 35 really good one-to-one paying clients who I really, really loved. I really enjoyed, but I couldn't face showing up on another Zoom call. And
Oh
then
my God.
I was like, okay, I need to make a change, and that's when I went kind of in person again, and just doing PT, just so I could have a reason to leave my house, so I could see people
Yes.
in person. And at the start, it was a huge loss, like a huge loss. And over time now, it's grown to a point where it looks like it was worth it financially now, but it was worth it even then because again, I had peace of mind. I had a
Yeah.
reason to get out of the house. I get to talk to people again. Like I was like getting anxiety going into Tesco because I'd been sitting at the desk all day, scrolling through social media, being on the computer, not interacting with people. And I would consider myself a quite social person anyway, but I wasn't getting any of that, and it was just impacting even like little small things like day to day tasks. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I need to make a change. I need to make, and I think that's a really important point that you said. It's like, uh, they might not, other people might not emphasize how important connection is because they never lost it. But
Yeah.
when you feel it missing in your life, it then you realize how important it is, and that's when again you become aware of it, and that's when you can kind of help other people with that advice as well because you've felt that pain of feeling disconnected in the world.
Connection is like me and the girl I'm seeing right now, we had like a super fast first 4 weeks, super connected, and then like we live in different cities, so like Duke's super fast burn to super slow one, and like now like we're just like we had a conversation, it was like I just want to feel connected with you again. I don't want the same like, you know, huge bit of burn we had at the beginning, just a bit of connection. Like I have people reaching out to me all over the world at the moment, asking me to sponsor them as a sponsor for AA, because of connection. And I'm like, there's just no way if I was still hammering the point of calorie deficit and
Yeah,
like think that that would ever happen. Yeah, people would laugh, which is a form of connection,
yeah,
but I'm not laughing with them. They're laughing on the toilet on their phone
yeah.
or like in the living room on their phone when the ads are on the telly, and then they just go back to fucking rotten, and I'm sitting halfway across the world stressing about, oh, how am I gonna refilm the fifth Romanian deadlift video to get views? Like, it's
And I think it's okay to for your message to change over time
ah,
you've changed over time, or you've seen that this isn't like I did the exercise videos, I did the diet videos, I played the algorithm game as well, and I think that's okay as well, and to know that okay, that doesn't give me any fulfillment anymore. and this is something that I see as being really important because it's impacted my life. So I want to talk about it, and it's okay to talk about it.
Yeah, that's it. Like I have a post going up today, and it's I was sitting thinking about people who are overweight last night. Or just like how are people who like myself back like 7 years ago, and like the things I used to say to myself. So the post is like a message to the person who feels fat today. And
Mm,
like, my posts all now are slideshows with text written on them
yeah,
because I couldn't be fucked. Like as soon as I sit in front of a camera, my my thing is to be like funny, and I like being funny. I'm a funny person, but like I can get that emotional connection through, as you say, through copy or through text way better.
yeah,
You know, the
yeah.
podcast, I'm way better.
And you can be funny with your friends, and it's in the right environment and context.
Yeah,
Of it's like I can be funny and know that I'm not going to be judged because these people understand me.
that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge because that's something, through being my full self, because you can't really be your full self on
No.
social media. You
No.
can't,
No.
being my full self with my friends, and being like how do I say this without giving too much away? If,
I
yeah,
almost can predict what you're gonna say, but anyway,
yeah,
but we'll try to keep this podcast uncancelled, okay?
well, yeah, no, let's leave that one. But I think you know where I'm going with this. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah,
But
like
that is friendship, isn't it? Friendship's
that is
like, okay,
friendship.
I can say nearly anything and get away with it because we
Yeah,
understand who each other we understand who we are as people as well, and know that there's not malice
yeah.
in the things that
There's
we
no
say.
malice. It's not. There's no fuel behind it. It's
Yeah,
just like the sometimes the audacity of some things said is funny in
yeah.
itself,
800, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Instead of like being fueled by just all. Anyways, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut that one there. I'm gonna.
There is no lines. But also even when you touched on that weight loss, one question that I did want to ask you about weight loss, which I think will be valuable for the viewers who are listening to this, who listen to it in the context of their health and fitness journey. Like some people feel embarrassed to even begin, like the going to the gym or
Yeah.
healthy eating spaces. They feel like it's not for them, and fitness is getting even more and more trendy. Run clubs and stuff
Yeah.
like that is getting more trendy, and it can be difficult for people who feel like they don't deserve to even start. And I suppose my question for you, who because you've been on both sides of this, like, did you ever feel like that way? And if so, how can people kind of push through that?
I only felt like that way when I got into the fitness sphere and
Mm,
my feed became filled with just other coaches and other just like people who were hugely into fitness. When I first got into fitness, nobody I knew was like resharing like you know she hurt me so I hurt me in the gym type crack. Like, I just went I like when I first started getting into it, I like my whole thing was when I first got into fitness, Carl, was I now cannot drink or do alcohol,
mhm,
cannot drink or do drugs, which took up a huge part of my week. I need to fill it somehow. I knew I was overweight. Let's go to the gym. I went to the gym every day for 8 months, every day for 8 months, and I was drinking Huel shakes and one meal at work, and I did feel good. I was actually filling myself with nutrients opposed to just like takeaways and this, that, and the other. Not enough. Not enough for a 140 kilo man,
yeah,
but I was then doing, running, and and yeah, at the beginning, seeing the scales go down was great, but there was no exterior influence
mm,
of like what was acceptable. I just did it my way, the way that worked for me. I did it for me, for no one else. Obviously I did it to get fucking women talking to me and this, that, and the other, like, but like I did it because I wanted to do it. Now, every second person I know has run a marathon.
mm,
Every second person is a part of a run club. There's, like every third person owns a new reformer Pilates studio, and the next person is still posting low calorie recipes. There is so much noise
yeah,
that like, and there's so much like, if Mary, who's anywhere between the ages of 20 and 50, and she's, 20, 30 kilos overweight, sees all of this, she's gonna get overwhelmed, and like my former coach employed, or he worked for me, um, Charlie Wanstall, unbelievable guy. He was so much better than me at this in coaching. He was so good at coaching people through choice paralysis.
Hmm.
And there's just so many ways to start now. Like, what's the best way? What's the one that's going to work for me? Like I'm just getting back into training. I definitely overate in food yesterday. I'm in a fat loss phase, but I'm also in like just get enjoying fitness again phase. And I'm just like doing it. I'm not even thinking about it. I'm like, I'm gonna go to the gym today. I'm gonna go and walk because like I know the importance of steps. And I also it's time where I can listen to my Audible book
Yeah.
and listen to music. I don't like listening to podcasts and walk. It's either books or music or FaceTime and someone, and then I'll like, as soon as I tick all those boxes, I will sit down on the couch and play video games. It's just like I want to do the thing because the thing makes me feel good. Now it's like I need to do the thing because I know I'll feel better once I've done the thing and achieved the thing. But to achieve the thing, I have to do all of these things, and I don't know if I have the capability and mental capacity to do them all. I don't even know if I have the ability to cook that well. I've never cooked. I've always had my parents cook for me or this, that. I've I'm just going to order delivery,
Yeah.
you know, and
There's
that's
there's an over productivity, over, it needs to look aesthetically pleasing, needs to, it's like it's the curated social media feed that, your life has to look like this, and like, it's I'd rather just not start
yeah.
than see all of this.
Yeah, and like as much as I say, like, obviously, like changing your body won't make you happier. It like transforming your life will, and the easiest place to start with it is your body. It
Hmm.
is like,
Yeah.
it is the easiest thing to start with. But starting with actually that start has become increasingly more difficult. Even without like low calorie meals and stuff, they're great, but they're also like the amount of people who I know who aren't in fat loss but just stick to low calorie meals that have like, they might have like 10 grams of fat in a day and they feel fucking dreadful.
Hmm.
They're not going to continue anymore.
Hmm.
Like there's so much nuance to starting a weight loss journey now.
Yeah.
Whereas before, like as toxic as it was, but it was as simple, was just like eat good, train good.
Yeah.
There's a certain, like, as much as it's like, no, there's way more there is to come to that. There's like, if you do that, you'll probably feel better. But like there, even with that, there's nuance. And now we've gone the other way of like there's so much nuance that it's overstimulating.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know?
Sometimes when you have a goal that you want to achieve and you're not in the place that you want to be, sometimes your superpower can be just be dimensional, and just like, this is the
Yeah,
path that I'm going. Just go and do it.
exactly. There's just on the one last thing on that is like the when I was 20, 21, 22, 23, all Instagram was, you know, eat what you like to lose weight and like this, that, and eat what you like, make sure you're in a calorie deficit. And I'm still like, I'm still super, I'm gonna have my cinnamon bun every morning. I'm gonna do these things. But now the youth are like, eat real food and like train hard. And as much as my brain is like, yeah, but we have to teach them to be a little compassionate with food and enjoy it. There's such value in just like boiling it down to like eat real food and like I don't want to sound like I support Eddie Abu and all these boys like, but the fact of just like making it simple and like an old almost classic like style, there's like people find success in that. It's bowling barriers
Yeah.
in a way, that just keep you lined up, and maybe there needs to be more bowling barriers. Maybe there needs to be less. It's like I just complained about the nuance of nuance. Now I'm complaining about much nuance again.
It's turned into Inception.
Yeah, I know. It's I wish I had the fucking antidote for that because it's
Yeah.
frustrating to watch
Well,
people.
the thing is, even when you speak about nuance, it is there's always going to be a different answer for each individual when it comes to getting started,
Yeah.
or breaking through them barriers. And like you said, there is a lot of noise, and fitness is very trendy. I mean, I was watching I was watching a video there the other day, and it was people at a run club, and like the interviewer was interviewing like women, and he was like, "Oh, what's your ick for people at run club?" And like when they don't have these types of to runners and all, I was like you're just creating barriers for people that want to get into exercise. Like
Mm.
you're not being helpful, and it's like sometimes I think with fitness, like you said, we overcomplicate it, and it needs to be trendy, and it needs to look a certain way, and you need to do it this way. And I think that for a lot of people, that's not helpful. They're just like, oh, I won't even start.
Yep.
Yeah. You've been through addiction, transformation, built an online presence, built a successful business, created a life where you can work on your own terms. What's one truth you've learned about life that you carry with you every day from all these experiences?
Um, the things that you crave, the things that you want, your goals and ambitions are usually never what they're made out to be once you get them.
Mm-hmm.
There's just the chase. I hate that word. The process is always more fun than the destination. Even when the process can be soul destroying. Like I've been brought to my knees metaphorically and physically through processes. And once I got the thing, um, it's never been the kind of like high that you imagined. It's never, maybe this is my addiction coming out. It's never enough.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you think so? Like, it's very, it's a very hard concept to get around. Of okay, if I chase this goal, I might achieve this goal and realize that I'm not happy. But if I do nothing and sit on a hammock all day, I might not be happy either.
yeah.
And I think a lot of high performing people fall into that difficulty.
Mm. Like I've done a lot of work on like purpose and this, that, and the other. And I think a lot of like, purpose was first brought to me in recovery, and then it was re-brought into me in like a fitness mentorship. And they're like, "What's your purpose? Your purpose is to help people," which is their way of fucking instilling in you is like work harder so you can make more money so you'll pay us longer, you know? Um, a lot of them probably like I don't think a lot of them consciously think like that. I think a
No.
lot of them like think they have the right message behind it, but it never like when you go through it, it's never like that. Um,
That's also similar to the personal trainer and the client who's like, who are you doing this for? You're doing this for your kids. Now lose more weight so I can put a transformation photo up you.
Yeah.
Of you.
And like I've been that guy,
Mm.
without knowing it or at times regretfully knowing it, like,
Yeah, well, we all have a bias towards what we want
Yeah.
to achieve. There's an outcome
Yeah.
that we want, and our messaging ends up going towards that.
Yeah. Yeah. So my purpose now is like it is just to help people, whether it's in the form of fitness, whether it's the form of like, I really think like I've had a lot of conversations with God. I think going back to study, psychology or psychiatry, which is a commitment a very long time. I'll probably be 40 by the time I start to get work on that. Or addiction counseling or just counseling, something full stop, whether I do psychology and then can tie in like because there are a few, there aren't many like psychologists who are also fitness coaches. My previous coach, Becca O'Leary O'Sullivan now, from she works for Amelia Thompson. She's now both. And the value in that, and like I think the way the fitness and weight loss and weight gain world is turning now is immensely valuable. Or whether it's just to sit with someone who's like, I don't like life. That's where I think my purpose lies now because I've been there. Um, I think like finding out your purpose is a journey in futility, a journey of pain in itself.
Yeah.
Because you'll sit there and you'll like, get overwhelmed by I life. I'm like, what is my purpose? What am I here to do? Is it just to like I knew a guy who was like my purpose is to find out the quickest transfers on and football. And I'm like, you're gonna have a tough time beating out Fabrizio Romano, man, but like go for it, you know. Now he's doing it. Like that's his he's a podcast, he's doing well, like, you know. Um so it's like even if your purpose is something so simple, there's a way you can find connection and value in it.
Yeah, yeah. What's your definition of success now, and how has it changed over time?
My definition of success is happiness.
Mm,
My definition of success is happiness and ability to provide.
mm.
That for me is
What does that
success.
look like?
What does that look like? You know, I own the home I'm in right now, and I'm happy. You know, I'm not as happy as I want to be, but I'm happy, and that's enough for me right now.
Mm,
There's a couple of things I'd love to have a little bit more financial security. I'd love to be able to, like, when I was flying it with work, I was able to send my sister like a grand just because she was struggling. You know, my definition of providing now is like I have live in the home I'm in. I have a housemate who rents from me, and there's a spare room. And if there's an young alcoholic or an old alcoholic or addict that's struggling, they have a place, and I can provide that for them in the middle of town. There's success for me is like, you know, my parents aren't wondering is like is Paddy gonna relapse, like, or you know, success right now is Paddy's gonna help someone from avoiding relapse, like, you know, or helping, you know, Josh, one of my longest clients in Texas, like helping him, you know, just get into the gym 3 times, 4 times a week, because then his week snowballs from there.
yeah,
Um, yeah, ability to provide and happiness. That's my definition of success.
yeah. And what, as you're saying that, like, it made me think. I think a lot of happiness and fulfillment and purpose, it comes from service, and I think that that's a lot about what you're
Service.
talking about there as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
service. Absolutely service. Service. I can't believe I didn't say service. Monday, Monday, every Monday I'm the secretary for a Cocaine Anonymous meeting. As in,
Mm,
I open it, I make sure the door's open for people to come in, and that's a position of service I hold. I hold a position of service to my clients, to family, as we all do. Like, you know,
mm.
service. Yeah, the ability to serve.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. Paddy, where can people go to keep up with the work you do, or to reach out for coaching, or
Um,
even just to send you a message? And you know, there might be people listening to this who are struggling with addiction or just self worth in whatever
yeah.
area it is, and you know, they might want to reach out and say thank you for this conversation, and also for being so vulnerable with this conversation as well, which I think is also needed to have these conversations.
Yeah. You can reach me on just Instagram, or I would say TikTok, but I don't post to TikTok anymore. You can reach me on Instagram, PDK Fitness. You know, if it's like self-worth and stuff, throw me a message on Instagram. You'll get fired into my primary inbox because I'm big on helping people with that. If it's anything to do with addiction, you'll get fired into the primary, but I'll give you my phone number because, you know, the value of one addict helping another is the only way that we can get more people sober and clean on the planet. So, um, yeah, Instagram, if you are in recovery or want to get in recovery and you live close to Galway, there's meeting lists for AA rooms and CA rooms and NA rooms, Narcotics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous. You will definitely find me in one of those. You know, I'm probably the least anonymous person, but yeah, you can find me there if you live in and around or close or willing to travel to Galway. I met someone who was like willing to travel to Galway just to have a conversation with me, which
Yeah,
was
I would imagine there's a lot of people who, you know, are in these situations who would rather travel and not be so close to home when
yeah,
trying to
yeah, a
start
big thing.
this.
Yeah, I know a lot of people in the Galway Fellowship who would do most of their meetings in like Tipperary or Cork,
Hmm.
and they would take a 3 hour journey just because they are like, you know, don't want some jobs, some lines of life, the anonymity is far more important than others. I'm just kind of like, nah, 420,000 people know I don't care.
Paddy, I really appreciated this conversation, and I will see you very soon on the 5th of
Very
July.
soon.
Anyway, I
Yeah.
really, really, really appreciate this conversation today. Thank you,
Oh,
mate.
boss. Thank you guys.